Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProblemMoney.com, and in this video we are going to look at the best credit cards of 2022, an updated look here for the second half of the year. Before we do, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So we did a longer form video at the beginning of 2022 looking at the overall credit card market, what were the best cards in various categories. A lot of that's still relevant, and that is sort of a longer form video that if you wanted to go back to it, it would be useful to you. In this video is going to be sort of a shorter, updated look at those categories, but not quite as in-depth with all the cards. But we're going to talk about some of the new cards and the updated cards, things that have changed since the beginning of the year. So let's get to it. As always, we'll start with cashback credit cards, the most popular and the easiest to understand type of reward credit card. For this video, I'm going to assume that you are sort of coming from a place where maybe you have an older rewards card that doesn't give you very much, or maybe you have another credit card that doesn't give you anything. Maybe you don't have a credit card at all, but we're going to kind of go from the foundation and then work our way deeper here. So the foundation, as far as I'm concerned, would be to get a 2% flat cashback credit card that gives you 2% cash back on everything. You don't have to think about any categories of where you're going to get more, where you're going to get less. It's just 2% across the board. The cards in this category to look at right now as I'm making this video: Wells Fargo Active Cash Visa, 2% on everything, also a $200 bonus opportunity. FNBO Evergreen Visa, same thing, 2% on everything. There's a $200 bonus opportunity there. You might also choose the PayPal Cashback MasterCard that is going to give you 2% on everything, but give you 3% on PayPal purchases. Now, obviously, 2% on everything with 3% on PayPal sounds better than those other two cards, but at least as I make this video, PayPal not offering an upfront bonus, and you should never underestimate the value of an upfront bonus. So if you could find that PayPal Cashback MasterCard with some sort of bonus opportunity for new cardholders, then maybe that would be the one that I would say you should go for. The second cashback card to get is the Citi Custom Cash Card. Like all the cards I've talked about, it is no annual fee. It gives you 5% cash back in the category where you spend the most each month. That happens automatically. There is a predetermined list of categories where you could get 5%. Everyday stuff like gas, groceries, restaurants, home improvement, travel, and other stuff as well. So wherever you spend the most, you are going to get 5% cash back. Now there's a cap of $500 in that 5% category, meaning $500 of spending that you put on the card. You get 5% on that first $500. If you go beyond that, you would get 1% on purchases beyond the $500. Any other purchases that aren't in your top category also going to get you 1%. Now from here, the question is, how many credit cards do you want to hold? If you only wanted to have one or two more cards, you don't want to juggle a big fat wallet, then what you would want to do is go after a card or cards that are going to give you enhanced rewards in multiple everyday categories like gas, groceries, that sort of thing. If you are someone that was willing to hold even more cards, well then you could zero in on specific spending, whether that's specific categories or with specific retailers. Let's look first at the cards that have sort of those multiple categories where you could get 3%, and then we'll talk about some cards where you could zero in and get even higher on certain purchases. You might want to consider the Capital One Saver One card, a no annual fee card that's going to give you 3% cash back at grocery stores, on dining, on entertainment, and select streaming services, 1% everywhere else. Or you might choose the recently updated Blue Cash Everyday card from American Express, no annual fee, 3% back at US supermarkets, 3% back on online retail purchases, 3% back on gas station purchases, 1% back everywhere else. Newly launched here in 2022 is the Wells Fargo Autograph Visa, no annual fee card that's giving you 3% back in a bunch of categories: restaurants, gas and transit, travel, streaming services, cell phone plans, and then you're going to get 1% back everywhere else. If you qualify as a member of Navy Federal Credit Union, there are more rewards. American Express card, another no annual fee card that is going to give you 3% back on the big three categories of groceries, gas, and dining, 1% everywhere else. Now we are going to move on to the cashback cards that you might use to further complement the cards you've already chosen if you really want to zero in on getting more on some of those everyday purchases. If getting 5% back on more purchases appeals to you, you're going to want to look at the Chase Freedom Flex and or the Discover It card. Both of these cards offer 5% cash back in certain purchasing categories that change each calendar quarter. So every 3 months, you're going to have new categories where you get 5% cash back. So you kind of have to stay on top of these cards, but you do get opportunities to get 5% cash back throughout the year. If you're an Amazon Prime member, the Amazon Prime Visa is a no annual fee card that's giving you 5% back on your Amazon purchases, 5% back on Whole Foods purchases, and then you have some other categories where you can get enhanced rewards as well. The US Bank Cash Plus card is going to give you 5% cash back in 2 categories that you choose from a predetermined list. You'll get that 5% on up to $2,000 worth of purchases in those 2 categories per calendar quarter. The card has some other rewards as well. If you are a regular shopper at Target, the Target Red card is another of those no-brainer cards because it gives you a 5% discount on your Target purchases, not 5% of rewards. You're getting a 5% discount, which means if you shop at Target regularly and you don't have the card, you're paying 5% more than everybody else. If you are a member at Costco or Sam's Club, both of these warehouse clubs have pretty decent credit cards, especially in the gas category. You could get 4% back on your gas purchases through the Costco card, 5% through the Sam's Club card, and there are other rewards on these cards as well. And there are many other cashback cards out there that you might consider. I'm going to give you a little list here, sort of skimming the surface of what I think of as the best that you might also want to investigate. Those include the US Bank Altitude Go, where you can get 4% back on your dining purchases, as well as other rewards. You have the Verizon Visa, which is best for Verizon customers because you mostly redeem for Verizon rewards, but you're going to get 4% or 3% back on a lot of everyday categories there. You've got the Venmo Visa, you've got the Bank of America customized cash rewards card, the Apple card, if you're an Apple user, might be worth getting, the Walmart credit card, and the Chase Freedom Unlimited. All right, so that's cash back. Let's talk about travel. In my book, getting a travel credit card makes sense mostly if you're someone that puts a lot on your credit cards every month and every year, or if you are someone that travels a lot, actually preferably both of those things. So if you spend a lot and you travel a lot, well then that's when travel credit cards are going to make more sense. There's sort of 2 roads you could go down with travel credit cards. You could go with a specific airline or hotel card, or you could go with one of the points cards from one of the major banks. If you're thinking about a specific hotel or airline card, it makes the most sense, obviously, to get a card with someone maybe you're already traveling with. So if you have an airline or a hotel that you're already traveling with, or that you know has a big presence in the places either you travel to or maybe in the airport where you leave from, well then those are where it is going to make the most sense to look. But all the big names out there, Delta, United, Southwest, Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, all of them are going to have at least one credit card. A lot of them are going to have multiple credit cards. Now for a lot of people, the credit cards that come from a specific airline or a specific hotel chain are going to be too restrictive because you can only use the miles or points at that airline or at that hotel chain. Sometimes there are travel partners where you can also use them, but they're not going to be as flexible as you might get from one of the flexible point cards that are offered by some of the big banks, Chase and American Express in particular. So let's start there with Chase. They have their Sapphire Preferred card and their Sapphire Reserve card. For most people, the Chase Sapphire Preferred is probably the place that you would consider getting this card because of the fact that it has a more doable $95 annual fee. It has sort of modest rewards, usually a pretty nice bonus possibility for new cardholders, but the real key to it for many people is going to be the fact that it is the card you need, sort of the entry-level card you need in order to access Chase's travel transfer partners, where you can take Chase's points and transfer them into a partner program of someone like United, Southwest, Marriott, Hyatt, and there are others as well. And then that's where people often try to find their sort of outsized value in the reward points when they travel with one of the transfer partners. Now you can also use your points through Chase's travel portal, and you'll get a 25% boost on the value of those points when you do it. You also can pool your points from other Chase cards with the Chase Sapphire Preferred and still use them with that 25% through the portal. So there is a lot of good going on there. You also, if you feel like you need to at some point, can cash out your Chase points at a penny per point, which you can't do with the other companies that we will talk about here. So that is something to consider. You can cash out with the other ones, but not at that same higher rate. So Chase, in my view, easy for the sort of beginner to understand if they want to get into travel credit cards, and much more flexible than the others. There also is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, like I said, $550 annual fee. A lot more going on with that card. If you want airport lounge access, that is the way you would get that. And then there are a lot of other things going on as well. But if you don't travel as much, if you don't spend as much on your cards, that's probably not going to be the one that you look at first. Now, American Express with their membership rewards program is the other big player when it comes to travel credit cards. I find their program to be a little more restrictive than Chase's, so I don't like it quite as much, but some people really, really love it and think it's way better than Chase's because they feel like they can earn a lot of points through American Express, and they can use American Express's travel transfer partners and put those points into the airline or hotel program of some of American Express's partners, like Delta, like Hilton, like Marriott, and other international airlines as well. Now, the other sort of downside, as far as I'm concerned, with American Express is really, if you're going to be in the membership rewards program, you've got the American Express Platinum and you've got the American Express Gold as the two cards that you would consider. Gold card, $250 annual fee. Platinum card, $695 annual fee. So you have to be willing to pay those annual fees and feel like you're getting good value out of those cards in order for the whole thing to sort of work for you. There are some pretty decent rewards on the Gold card. Both cards have a lot of credits that you can use in various ways that, if you can totally maximize them, you could feel like the cards are good value. And some people love these cards and think they are great value. Again, this is where it comes in terms of how much you put on the card and spending, and how often you travel, as to whether you're going to feel like these things are a good value. Capital One last year got into the luxury travel credit card game with the introduction of the Venture X card that competes with the American Express Platinum and Chase's Sapphire Reserve card, but it is a little bit of a stripped down version of those cards with a stripped down annual fee at $395. So if you're someone that likes the idea of airport lounge access and you want a sort of higher end card, this is maybe a choice for you. Three other travel credit cards to talk about. The US Bank Altitude Reserve card is another card that competes in that American Express Platinum, Chase Sapphire Reserve, Venture X category. Some people would tell you that it's better than all of those cards. I put it a notch below, but you should definitely check it out as well to see if it better matches your spending and traveling. You have the Navy Federal Credit Union Flagship Rewards card, sort of a stripped down travel card in that it has only a $49 annual fee, but some people like it for its simplicity. Within the last year or so, the Built MasterCard came onto the scene. It has some nice travel transfer partners. It also has a way for you to earn rewards on your rent payments. All right, so that is travel. Now, all of the credit cards I've just talked about, whether cashback or travel, are probably going to be for people that have some credit history and have a decent credit score. So if you've got some credit history, you've got a credit score over 700, a lot of those are going to be available to you. If you don't have any credit history, or you have a credit score like under 650, probably most of them wouldn't be available to you. So if you're in one of those places, new to credit or a low credit score, what are the cards for you? Now, regardless of your situation, if you're someone that is new to credit, you're a student, you've got bad credit, whatever, probably the first place I would tell you to go is to one of the pre-approval pages on either the Capital One or Discover site, or both of those sites, to see what they tell you about how they look at your credit history. So they're going to give you an idea when you give them your information of what cards you're probably going to be approved for if you go through with a full application. Those aren't guaranteed, even though they call them pre-approval, but they're probably going to give you a decent idea. If you go through Capital One and Discover and they tell you these are the cards that we think you could be approved for, well, then there's probably a decent chance you will get approved for those cards. But if they tell you you're not approved for any of these cards, well, then it probably wouldn't make much sense for you to continue to look at them. Now, if you are a student, a college student, and you went through Capital One or Discover, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to tell you you are eligible for one of their student cards. Discover is especially aggressive on the student front in terms of trying to get you in, so there's a good chance you would get approved there. I really like Capital One's Saver One card for students, which is essentially the same as the Saver One card we talked about earlier. Now, if you're not a college student, but you are new to credit, or even if you are someone that has had some past credit problems, you've got bad credit, a lower credit score, my advice is probably still the same. Start with Capital One and Discover. See what they tell you through their pre-approval. If things look good, you could go through and apply for one of those cards, and hopefully you would get approved. If you do not see anything good coming from that pre-approval, I would move on to the Pedal card. There are two versions of this card, Pedal 1 and Pedal 2. One of them is a little more for new to credit, one is a little more for maybe people that have had some past credit problems. Do a pre-approval there and see if it looks like you're going to get approved for one of those cards. If that doesn't work out, you might try the Apple card, especially if you are an Apple user. This is a card that has been open to people who are new to credit and has been open to people with some past credit problems. Now, if none of those things work out and you're new to credit or you have bad credit, I would say don't go with some of the in-between cards that give you a lot of fees with very small credit lines. You probably should go on to a secured card that would require you to put down a security deposit, which is not anyone's, favorite thing to have to do, but you get better cards with a secured card than you would with an unsecured card where you have to pay some, $100 fee or something up front. You have a really high interest rate and then there are, monthly fees or whatever. I would say avoid those and go with a secured card. Probably the Discover secured card is the one that I would say most people would be happiest with because of the fact that when you get that card, even though you have to put a deposit down, oftentimes as long as you use the card right, you pay all your bills back on time, that sort of thing, they are the most likely to graduate you in a short time to an unsecured card. And then finally, small business credit cards. There are 5 that I would suggest, even though there are other good ones on the market as well, but the 5 I would say take a look at. First, American Express has the Blue Business Plus or the Blue Business Cash card. They also have the Business Platinum card that a lot of business owners like. Chase has the Ink Preferred or the Ink Cash card. Any of those could be the right card for your small business. Questions, comments, put them in that comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews. We talk personal finance. We talk deals and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you are not going to leave a comment or you're not going to go to the website, what you should do now is watch this video.